She posted a TikTok bragging, keeping his ring, dumping the man. Thousands of comments cheered her on. I stayed silent. When the pawn shop told her it was worthless, the internet laughed louder than she ever did. The first time I saw the video, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt quiet. It was a strange, cold kind of quiet, like the air gets right before a thunderstorm. My buddy Kevin sent it to me with no context, just a text that said, "Dude, you need to see this." I opened the link, and there she was. My fiancée, Jessica. Or I guess my ex-fiancée now. The video was shot in her car, with her best friend Tiffany in the passenger seat. They were both holding champagne flutes. Jessica was hysterically laughing, flashing the engagement ring I had given her just 4 days earlier. It was a close-up shot, the stone catching the light perfectly. The text overlay on the TikTok was simple and brutal. Keeping his ring, dumping the man, #girlboss, #upgrade, #know your worth. Then she spoke to the camera, still laughing. "To new beginnings," she said, clinking her glass with Tiffany's. "And to this absolute rock of a severance package. Thanks for the down payment on my new life, babe." I scrolled down. The video had been up for 6 hours and was already going viral. Over 1 million views. The comment section was a tidal wave of support for her. "Yes, queen, get that bag. This is the energy I'm taking into 2025. He was punching above his weight anyway. Good for you. Men are temporary, diamonds are forever." I watched it 3 times. The woman I had asked to marry me, the woman I thought I was building a life with, had just liquidated our entire 4-year relationship for a handful of likes and a piece of jewelry. She hadn't even had the decency to tell me to my face. She told the entire internet instead. I didn't call her. I didn't text. I didn't comment on the video. I just put my phone down, walked into my workshop, and stared at the half-finished table I was building for a client. The smell of sawdust and wood stain usually calms me down, but that day it did nothing. The quiet in my head was absolute. Let me give you some background. I'm not a complicated guy. I own a business making custom furniture. It's a good living, and I built it myself from nothing. Jessica and I had been together for 4 years. She moved into my house about 2 years ago. I thought we were happy. I thought we were on the same page. Turns out, we weren't even reading the same book. She was always obsessed with appearances, with what other people thought. Her social media was a carefully curated highlight reel of a life she wasn't really living. A life that, I now realized, I was paying for. Her job was some vague social media manager role that barely covered her car payments. I handled the mortgage, the bills, the vacations, the constant stream of packages that arrived at our door. I thought it was just part of being a team. The proposal was last week. I took her to a nice dinner, got down on one knee, the whole deal. The ring was something I had designed myself. A simple platinum band with 2 small, intricate carvings on the side, holding a 3-carat stone that looked for all the world like a flawless diamond. She cried. She said it was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She said yes. For 4 days, she was the perfect, doting fiancée. She posted dozens of pictures of the ring, tagging me, talking about how she was the luckiest girl in the world. It was all a lie, a performance for her followers. The entire time she was planning this, I spent the rest of that day in a cold, methodical haze. I didn't break things. I didn't get drunk, I got organized. First, I went online to our joint bank account, the one I primarily funded, which she used for groceries that often looked a lot like designer shoes. There was less in there than there should have been. I transferred my half of the remaining balance to my personal account, and then closed it. Next, I logged into my credit card accounts. She was an authorized user on 2 of them. I looked at the recent activity. There were thousands of dollars in charges from the last 24 hours. A luxury hotel suite for the upcoming weekend, a shopping spree at a high-end department store, an expensive dinner with Tiffany the night before. She was celebrating her big move. I canceled both of her cards, effective immediately. Then I started packing. I didn't throw her things in trash bags. I used the half-dozen brand-new suitcases she had bought with my card that afternoon. I packed every dress, every shoe, every bottle of overpriced face cream. I went through the house and collected every little trinket she had used to mark her territory. By the time I was done, the only evidence she had ever lived there was a stack of expensive luggage by the front door. The last thing I did was call a locksmith. For a few $100, every lock on my house was changed. As the locksmith was finishing up, I took a picture of her stacked luggage. Then I sent a text to a 24/7 moving service. I gave them my address and the address of Jessica's parents' house, 2 towns over. I finally sat down on my couch around midnight. The house was quiet. My house. I looked at her viral video one more time. The comments were still flooding in. I saved a copy of the video to my phone. Then I went to bed and slept like a rock. Update 1. The first contact came the next afternoon. It wasn't a call. It was a notification from my bank's fraud department. They were flagging a declined transaction for over $5,000 at a designer handbag store. Jessica was still on her celebratory shopping spree, unaware that her funding had been cut off. The bank representative asked if I had authorized the charge. I told them no, and to please freeze any further attempts. The real fireworks started about an hour later. A call from an unknown number. I answered and put it on speaker. It was Tiffany. She didn't even say hello. "What the hell did you do?" she screamed. "Jessica's card just got declined everywhere. We're stranded at the mall. She's having a meltdown." "Hello, Tiffany," I said. "I saw you in the video. You two looked like you were having a great time." There was a half-second of stunned silence. "That's not the point. Why did you cut her off? You're her fiancé." "No, I'm not," I replied. "She dumped me, remember? She announced it to 1 million people online. Did she think I was going to keep paying for her lifestyle after that? The man is gone, Tiffany. That means his money is gone too." I could hear Jessica wailing in the background. "This is insane. You're a monster. You can't just do this." "Actually, I can. Have a nice day." I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone rang again. This time, it was Jessica. Her voice was a mixture of fury and panic. "Turn my cards back on right now," she demanded. "No, you can't do this to me. You're trying to humiliate me." "You already handled that yourself," I said. "Your video was very effective. You got exactly what you wanted. Likes, attention, a whole army of strangers cheering you on. What you don't get is my money." "We are done, Jessica." "But my stuff? Where am I supposed to go?" "I would imagine you'd go home, to your parents' house. Your belongings should be arriving there shortly. I hired a moving service. They're very professional." The line went quiet. I could practically hear the gears grinding in her head as she processed what I had said. You packed my things?" she whispered. "Every last item. The house has been scrubbed clean of you. The locks have been changed. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Do not contact me again." I hung up and blocked both of their numbers. The next call, about 2 hours later, was from her mother. She tried to play the part of the calm, reasonable mediator. She told me Jessica was hysterical, that this was all a terrible misunderstanding, and that I was overreacting to a silly, childish prank. "A prank?" I asked. "Your daughter publicly ended our engagement, bragged about keeping a ring she believes is worth a fortune, and went on a shopping spree to celebrate. That's not a prank. That's a statement of intent." "She's just emotional," her mother insisted. "She didn't mean it. You know how she is with social media. You have to let her come home." "This is my home," I said, "and she is no longer welcome in it. A moving van is on its way to your address as we speak. I suggest you clear some space in her old bedroom." Her father got on the line then. He was less diplomatic. He started yelling about how I was being cruel, how I had no right to throw his daughter out on the street. "I didn't throw her on the street," I corrected him. "I sent her and all of her possessions directly to you. You're her parents. She's your responsibility now." "We'll sue you," he threatened. "For what?" I asked. "For changing the locks on my own house after your daughter publicly dumped me and bragged about robbing me? For canceling a credit card that was in my name? Please, go ahead. I have a copy of the video. I'm sure a judge would find it very interesting." He sputtered for a few more seconds and then hung up. The rest of the week was a predictable mess. Jessica tried to launch a smear campaign, of course. She posted a tearful new video, claiming that I was an abusive and controlling monster who had kicked her out for no reason after she had a moment of doubt about our engagement. It didn't work. Her first video was still up, and thousands of people had saved it. The comment sections of her new videos were flooded with people calling her out. Wait, weren't you just bragging about dumping him and keeping the ring? The timeline isn't adding up, sis. You didn't have a moment of doubt, you had a premeditated plan to cash out. Her attempt to play the victim had failed spectacularly. The internet, which had been her biggest cheerleader, was quickly becoming her harshest critic. She had built her entire identity on a foundation of likes and shares, and now that same foundation was crumbling beneath her feet. And the best part was, I hadn't had to say a single word. I just sat back and watched her self-destruct. Update 2. It's been a little over a month now. The dust has started to settle, but the fallout from Jessica's TikTok masterpiece has been more spectacular than I could have ever imagined. After her failed attempt to rebrand herself as a victim, Jessica went quiet for about a week. I heard through the grapevine that life at her parents' house was not the triumphant return she had hoped for. They were furious about the public embarrassment and the fact that she was now back in her old room, unemployed and with a mountain of new debt she had no way of paying. Her grand financial plan, her severance package, hinged on one thing: the ring. Throughout this whole ordeal, she had clung to that ring like a life raft. In her mind, it was her ticket to a new life. A six-figure payday that would solve all her problems. About 2 weeks ago, she apparently decided it was time to cash in. And in a move of unbelievable arrogance and stupidity, she decided to document it for her followers. She posted a new TikTok. This one was titled, "Securing the Bag, #boss babe, moving on." The video showed her getting all dressed up, doing her makeup, and talking to the camera about her plans. She was going to take the ring to a high-end jeweler in the city to get it officially appraised and then sell it. She talked about the things she was going to buy with the money: a new car, a down payment on a condo, a trip to Europe. She was practically giddy with excitement. The video ended with her walking into the jewelry store, smiling confidently at the camera. The video got a ton of views, mostly from people who were just waiting for the train wreck. They didn't have to wait long. About 3 hours later, a new video appeared. It was shot in her car again, but this time, she wasn't laughing. Her face was puffy and red, her makeup was smeared, and she was in the middle of a full-blown hysterical meltdown. The text on the video was simple: "He gave me a fake ring." She was sobbing, barely able to get the words out. She rambled about how the jeweler had taken one look at the ring, put it under a microscope, and told her the bad news. The setting was real platinum. The tiny accent stones on the band were real diamonds, but the massive, 3-carat center stone was not. It was moissanite. Now, for those who don't know, moissanite is a gemstone that is almost visually identical to a diamond. It's nearly as hard, and it has even more fire and brilliance. It's a beautiful stone. It is also worth about 1/10 of what a natural diamond of the same size and quality would cost. She was screeching into the camera. "He told me it was worth maybe $8,000. Not 100,000. 8. What am I supposed to do with $8,000? He tricked me. He humiliated me." The internet's reaction was immediate and merciless. The video of her meltdown went even more viral than her first one. It was brutal. "So you're mad that the thing you tried to steal from your fiancé wasn't as expensive as you thought?" This is the greatest self-own in the history of TikTok. Karma just hit her with a platinum-set moissanite. You didn't get tricked, honey. You got a lesson in character. Her original Dumping the Man video became a historical artifact. It was flooded with new comments, almost all of them laughing emojis and links to her crying video. She became a meme overnight. The moissanite mommy, the girl who fumbled the bag so hard she broke the handles. She deleted her account within 24 hours, but it was too late. The videos were everywhere. Her public square had become her public pillory. Final update: it's been about 6 months. The silence has been absolute. After her epic social media implosion, Jessica seems to have vanished from the face of the earth. I've heard a few things, though. Her parents, after the fresh wave of humiliation from the moissanite saga, finally gave her an ultimatum: get a real job and start acting like an adult, or get out. She's apparently working as a receptionist at a dental office now. A friend of a friend saw her there and said she looked miserable. Tiffany, the loyal sidekick, distanced herself completely after Jessica became a social media pariah. Apparently, she didn't want the stench of that failure rubbing off on her own influencer career. A few weeks after her meltdown video, after the dust had settled a bit, I got a long, rambling email from Jessica from a new account. It was a mess of contradictions. She was sorry, but I had embarrassed her. She had made a mistake, but I had tricked her. She loved me, but I had ruined her life. At the end, she asked one question. Why would you give me a fake ring? Was our whole relationship a lie? I thought about ignoring it, but I decided she deserved one final piece of clarity. I replied with a single attachment. It was a screenshot of the design notes I had given to the jeweler who made the ring. On it, I had written a paragraph explaining my choice. I wrote that my grandmother, a woman who had been happily married for 60 years, had a moissanite engagement ring. She always said that the value wasn't in the stone itself, but in the commitment it represented. She said that a real diamond was just compressed carbon, but real love was infinitely more precious and rare. I wrote that I wanted our marriage to be built on that same principle, on real value, not on perceived worth. I explained that I had planned to tell her this story and the story of the stone on our wedding day, to show her that what we were building together was more important than any price tag. Underneath the screenshot, I wrote one final message. The ring wasn't fake, Jessica. It was a test. I wanted to build a life with a woman who would love it for the commitment it symbolized, not for its resale value. You failed. The ring wasn't the lie. You were. I blocked the email address immediately after sending it. I have no idea if she read it. I don't care. My revenge was never about humiliating her. I just gave her the rope, and she built her own gallows. She paraded her greed and entitlement in front of the whole world, thinking she'd be celebrated for it. And for a moment, she was. But the truth has a funny way of coming out. I still have the design for the ring. It's a good design. One day I'll have it made again. But I'll make sure the woman I give it to understands that the most valuable thing she's getting is the man, not the ring. She posted, "My boyfriend is so controlling, he won't let me go to Cabo with my ex." I commented, "Have a great time." Then I bought a first-class ticket to Cabo for my ex, when I posted a selfie of me and my ex at the same resort. Hey Reddit, long-time lurker, first-time poster. I've been sitting on this story until all the dust settled, but now I'm ready to share it. Also, because several people involved follow my main account, I'm using this throwaway. Obvious details changed, real revenge preserved. I, 31M, had been dating Vanessa, 28F, for just over a year, though we'd known each other for nearly 2 years total through mutual friends. We met at a craft brewery opening. Hit it off immediately, the whole rom-com setup minus the rain-soaked declaration of love. Vanessa is what you might call a social media influencer. Not the million-follower kind who gets paid to promote charcoal toothpaste, but the type with a respectable 30K followers who occasionally gets free yoga pants in exchange for posts. Her brand is all about authenticity and living your best life, which in practice means carefully staged photos of herself looking casually perfect in various picturesque locations. Me? I design websites for small businesses. I'm not exactly Instagram material, though Vanessa insisted on featuring me occasionally in her posts. My followers love seeing the real me, she'd say, while making me retake a candid shot of us laughing for the 12th time because my authentic joy wasn't hitting the right angle. Things were good, mostly. The sex was great, we rarely argued, and we genuinely enjoyed each other's company. There was just one persistent issue. Brandon. Brandon was Vanessa's ex from college. They dated for 3 years, broke up due to timing issues, her words, and had maintained what she called a deep friendship ever since, which apparently meant texting daily, occasional lunch dates when he was in town, and bringing him up in approximately 73% of all conversations. Brandon says this restaurant is overrated. Brandon thinks these shoes would look cute on me. Brandon's job lets him travel so much. Isn't that amazing? I'm not the jealous type. At least I didn't think I was until Brandon. But something about their relationship made me uneasy. Maybe it was the way she'd smile at her phone when he texted, or how she'd casually drop that they'd talked on the phone for 2 hours while I was at work. Or perhaps it was the framed photo of them in Paris that she kept on her bookshelf despite my gentle suggestions that it was a bit unusual. We're just friends, she'd say whenever I expressed discomfort. If you trusted me, this wouldn't bother you. And so, I tried to be the cool, understanding boyfriend. The kind who doesn't get threatened by his girlfriend's extremely close relationship with her ex. The kind who doesn't question why she needs to text him goodnight every day. The kind who pretends not to notice when she steps outside for a 45-minute phone call during dinner with my parents. The situation came to a head about 6 weeks ago when Vanessa announced she'd been invited on a trip to Cabo San Lucas. A girls' trip with her friend Mia, Mia's cousin, and, surprise, Brandon. Brandon has hotel points he needs to use before they expire, she explained, as if that made perfect sense. And he's friends with all of us, so it's not weird. I took a deep breath. Let me get this straight. You want to go to a beach resort in Mexico, share a hotel room with your ex-boyfriend, and don't see why that might make me uncomfortable? We're not sharing a room, she exclaimed, looking offended. He has his own room. We're just splitting a suite. It has 2 bedrooms. A suite, I repeated. So you'll be sharing a living space. It's a really good deal, she insisted. And Mia and her cousin will be there too. It's not like we'll be alone. I tried to explain why this felt inappropriate to me. That while I trusted her, this crossed a boundary I wasn't comfortable with. That it wasn't about controlling her, but about respect for our relationship. She listened, nodding occasionally, then said, I understand how you feel, but I think you're overreacting. Nothing is going to happen between Brandon and me. That's all in the past. The conversation went in circles for hours. Eventually, I said what I knew she wanted to hear. I can't stop you from going, but I'm not comfortable with it. The next morning, I woke up to find Vanessa had posted a lengthy rant on Instagram. The photo was of her looking pensively out a window. The caption, a dissertation on controlling relationships and how some men can't handle independent women with male friends. The kicker? My boyfriend is so controlling. He won't let me go to Cabo with my ex. As if I need permission to live my life. Hashtag toxic masculinity, hashtag trust issues, hashtag red flags. My phone exploded with texts from friends who'd seen the post. Most were checking if I was okay, but a few suggested I might indeed be the asshole in this situation. I stared at her post for a long time. Then at the comments beneath it, dozens of supportive messages telling her to drop him, girl, and explaining how insecurity is ugly. Vanessa had responded to several with heart emojis and thank you for understanding messages. And that's when something inside me snapped. Not in an angry way, but in a moment of sudden clarity. I'd been trying so hard to be the understanding boyfriend that I'd lost sight of my own boundaries. This relationship wasn't working, and no amount of communication would fix it, because we simply had different ideas of what respect looked like. So I did something I'd never done before. I commented on her post. Have a great time. I waited about 3 hours, during which Vanessa didn't respond or reach out, before silencing her number. Not blocking it yet, as I wanted to ensure I didn't miss anything important, and beginning to pack up the few things she'd left at my apartment. I carefully inventoried every item, took photos documenting the condition of everything, and dropped the box off with the concierge at her building. I included a printed list of all items and texted her. Your things are with your building's concierge. I've included an inventory list. Please let me know if anything is missing. Then I muted her notifications. But I wasn't done. I had a week of vacation time saved up. I had airline miles accumulated from several years of business trips. And most importantly, I had the name of the resort in Cabo, courtesy of Vanessa's endless discussions of their planned itinerary. So I made a call. Brandon? Hi. You don't know me, but I'm Vanessa's boyfriend. Well, ex-boyfriend now. I think we need to talk. Brandon, as it turned out, had no idea Vanessa and I were having issues. In fact, he seemed surprised to hear from me at all. Vanessa said you were cool with the trip, he told me, sounding genuinely confused. She said you couldn't come because of work, but that you trusted her completely. We talked for an hour. Brandon, contrary to the image I'd built in my head, seemed like a decent guy who'd been fed the same manipulative lines I had. He revealed that Vanessa had told him we were on a break and that she was keeping her options open. That explained the increasingly flirty texts she'd been sending him, which he somewhat awkwardly admitted had made him hope they might reconnect in Cabo. I feel like an idiot, he said finally. I never would have agreed to this trip if I'd known the real situation. Don't beat yourself up, I told him. She played us both, but I have an idea. He was understandably skeptical at first. We agreed to meet for coffee the next day, where we compared screenshots and stories until it became clear we'd both been manipulated in remarkably similar ways. Only then did I share my plan. My idea was simple. Brandon would go to Cabo as planned, but instead of the romantic reunion Vanessa was clearly orchestrating, he'd have a surprise companion. Me. You want to come to Cabo, with me? He asked, still somewhat bewildered. Not with you, I clarified, but at the same resort, same time. We'll let Vanessa discover us both there and see what story she spins then. There was a long pause before Brandon started laughing. That's either the craziest or most brilliant thing I've ever heard. I'm in. I used my accumulated miles to upgrade to a first-class ticket to Cabo San Lucas, having enough miles for the upgrade thanks to frequent business travel over the past 3 years, plus strategic credit card use, arriving a day before their planned trip. Brandon officially modified his reservation, removing Vanessa as a guest and adding me instead for transparency. I reimbursed him for his points usage at the standard conversion rate. I got lucky with my own room. Someone had just canceled their reservation for that exact week. The booking agent mentioned it was the last room available, as it was just before peak season. The next few days passed in a blur of planning. I arranged for an international data plan for my phone, booked a rental car at the airport, and even bought new swim trunks, because if I was going to confront my manipulative ex in Mexico, I was at least going to look good doing it. Vanessa tried calling several times after discovering her things at her building. I periodically checked her voicemails and texts, but didn't respond. Her messages evolved from confused, "Why did you drop my stuff off?" to angry, "So you're just ghosting me now?" to conciliatory, "I think we need to talk about this like adults." I maintained my silence. I was done playing her games. The day before my flight, Vanessa posted another Instagram update. A photo of her packed suitcase with the caption, "Sometimes you need to remove yourself from toxic situations and find your joy." Cabo, here I come, self-care, boundaries, new beginnings. I screenshotted it for posterity and boarded my flight the next morning. Cabo was everything the brochures promised: crystal blue waters, pristine beaches, and enough bars serving fruity drinks to ensure you never had to walk more than 20 feet for a refill. I checked into my room, unpacked, and waited for Brandon's text confirming their arrival. It came around 4 p.m. Just checked in. V went to the spa. Meeting for drinks at 6. Mia and cousin know the plan now. Filled them in. They're staying in the second bedroom of our suite. V thinks she's sharing with Mia. I replied with a thumbs up emoji and headed to the hotel bar, positioning myself with a clear view of the entrance, but partially obscured by a large potted palm. I ordered a margarita and settled in to wait. They arrived at 6:15. Vanessa looked stunning in a white sundress, her hair styled in the perfect, I just threw this together beach waves that probably took an hour to create. Brandon walked beside her, looking uncomfortable, in the way only someone hiding a massive secret can. Mia and her cousin brought up the rear, engrossed in their phones. I watched as they sat down at a table by the window. Vanessa immediately pulled out her phone, no doubt planning the perfect, casual cocktail shot for Instagram. I waited until drinks had been ordered before making my move. Walking up to their table, I put on my best surprised expression. "Vanessa? Brandon? What a coincidence." The look on Vanessa's face was worth every penny of that upgraded ticket. Her eyes widened, her mouth opened and closed silently, and she visibly paled beneath her carefully applied bronzer. "David?" she finally managed. "What are you doing here?" "Vacation," I replied cheerfully. "After your post about wanting space, I figured I should take some time for myself too. Brandon, good to finally meet you in person." Brandon, playing his part perfectly, stood up and shook my hand. "Likewise." "Small world, huh?" "The smallest," I agreed. "Mind if I join you all for a drink? I'd love to get to know Vanessa's friends better." Before Vanessa could object, Mia enthusiastically pulled out a chair. "Yes. Oh my God, this is amazing. Vanessa talks about you all the time." "Does she?" I asked innocently, sitting down. "All good things, I hope." What followed was 30 minutes of exquisite social torture. Vanessa, trapped by social convention and the presence of her friends, couldn't make a scene. I asked Brandon polite questions about his job in finance, complimented Mia on her recent promotion, information gleaned from Brandon during our planning, and generally acted like a man without a care in the world. Vanessa, meanwhile, grew increasingly agitated. She excused herself to the restroom twice, presumably to hyperventilate in privacy. When she returned the second time, she announced that she had a migraine and needed to lie down. "Oh, that's too bad," I said sympathetically. "Brandon, why don't you make sure she gets back to the room safely? Mia, her cousin, and I can get to know each other better." Brandon nodded solemnly. "Good idea. Come on, Vanessa." As they walked away, Vanessa shooting daggers at me over her shoulder, I turned to Mia. "So, has Vanessa mentioned that she's been trying to get back together with Brandon while dating me?" Mia's jaw dropped. "What? No, she told us you guys broke up weeks ago." And there it was. Confirmation that Vanessa's deception extended to her friends as well. I spent the next hour filling Mia in on the real situation, showing her screenshots of Vanessa's Instagram posts about me being controlling, alongside texts from her to me from the same day, acting like everything was normal. I was careful to only share communications directly relevant to the situation and nothing that wasn't necessary to correct the misconceptions. By the time I finished my story, Mia was furious. "That manipulative, I can't believe I rearranged my work schedule for this trip. And poor Brandon, she told him you were totally fine with them reconnecting." "Don't be too hard on Brandon," I said. "He's as much a victim here as I am. In fact," I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Brandon had just posted a selfie of the two of us at the hotel bar, drinks raised in a toast, with the caption, "Making new friends in unexpected places. Cabo Chronicles bro time." He tagged the resort in the post as well. I showed it to Mia, who burst out laughing. "You planned this? Together? Oh my God, that's legendary. Let's just say Brandon and I discovered we have something in common, a manipulative ex who tried to play us both." Mia immediately followed both Brandon and me on Instagram and reposted his photo with the addition, "Plot twist, Team David, Team Bravo," also tagging the resort. Within minutes, Vanessa's followers began connecting the dots between her controlling boyfriend posts and our tagged location. That, combined with Mia and Brandon's posts from the same resort, created a tsunami of social media attention. Vanessa, normally extremely active online, had gone completely silent. Around 10 p.m., Brandon texted, "V locked herself in the bedroom, says she's booking a flight home tomorrow, won't talk to me." I replied, "You okay with the suite arrangement?" "Totally fine. Mia and cousin are coming back. We all have separate beds. You're welcome to hang with us tomorrow." Absolutely. The next morning, I joined Brandon, Mia, and her cousin for breakfast by the pool. There was no sign of Vanessa, who had apparently taken the first flight back to the States. Over mimosas and avocado toast, we pieced together the full story. Vanessa had been playing all of us for months. She'd told Brandon that she and I were practically broken up. She'd told Mia that we had actually broken up. And she'd been gaslighting me about my insecurities regarding her relationship with Brandon the entire time. "The craziest part," Brandon said, shaking his head, "is that I was starting to think I was still in love with her. But after seeing how she handled this, all I feel is relief that I dodged that bullet." "Same," I agreed, clinking my glass against his. "To dodging bullets." We spent the rest of the week enjoying Cabo as a strange, impromptu friend group. Brandon turned out to be a great guy with a wicked sense of humor. Mia and her cousin were delightful company. We went snorkeling, took a sunset cruise, and generally had the vacation of a lifetime. All documented meticulously on Instagram, of course, with the resort tagged in every post. My favorite post was from our last night. The four of us at a beachside restaurant, arms around each other, with the caption, "Sometimes the best trips aren't about who you plan to go with, but who you end up with." Tack unexpected friendships, Cabo confessions. Vanessa, meanwhile, had gone radio silent on social media, a first in the history of our relationship. When I returned home, I discovered she'd blocked me on every platform. Through mutual friends, I heard she was telling people I had stalked her to Cabo out of jealousy, a narrative that collapsed when confronted with the dozens of photos showing me having the time of my life with her friends while she sulked back home. After checking my messages and finding an email from Vanessa accusing me of humiliating her and orchestrating her public shaming, I arranged for her remaining items to be placed in a commercial storage unit with the first month prepaid. I sent her the access information and receipt through a mutual friend, documenting the transfer of property. It's been 2 weeks since the Cabo incident. Brandon and I still meet up occasionally for beers. Turns out we both support the same tragically underperforming football team. Mia has started dating a friend of mine from work. And me? I'm taking a break from relationships to focus on myself, my work, and friendships that don't require mental gymnastics to maintain. As for Vanessa, according to Mia, who still follows her for the sheer entertainment value, she's recently rebranded her Instagram to focus on healing from narcissistic relationships and finding your authentic truth. Her latest post features her looking meaningfully at a sunset with the caption, "Sometimes people come into your life to teach you what you won't accept anymore. #growth, boundaries, #self-worth." I didn't comment this time. Some lessons need to be learned in silence. Edit. Holy crap, this blew up overnight. To answer the most common questions, yes, this was petty as hell, and no, I don't regret it. Sometimes pettiness is justice. No, I didn't steal Brandon as a friend. Adults can decide who they want to associate with. For the legal eagles concerned about hotel bookings, Brandon officially modified his reservation, removing Vanessa and adding me as a registered guest. I reimbursed him for his points at the standard conversion rate. Everything was above board. Several people have asked if Vanessa has tried to contact me since. She sent one email about a week after Cabo accusing me of humiliating her and orchestrating her public shaming. I didn't respond. Her remaining items are in a commercial storage unit with the first month prepaid. She has been provided with access information through a mutual friend. To the person asking if Brandon and I are a thing now, no, we're both straight, just friends who bonded over a shared traumatic experience. Not every male friendship has romantic undertones. Reddit. Update. 3 months post-Cabo. Since so many have asked for an update, here's where things stand now. Vanessa has gone through several Instagram rebrands since Cabo, according to Mia, who still follows her. First, she was a victim of toxic masculinity. Then, a spiritual seeker finding her true path. Now, she's leaned hard into travel influencer mode, posting heavily filtered photos from increasingly obscure locations with captions about escaping the ordinary. According to Mia, most of these trips are weekend jaunts to nearby states, strategically photographed to look like exotic destinations. Brandon is doing great. He got promoted at work and is dating a veterinarian he met through his sister. They seem genuinely happy together. We still meet up every other week to watch football and complain about our team's defense. Mia and my work friend broke up amicably but remain on good terms. She's been an unexpected ally in all this, correcting the record whenever Vanessa's version of events comes up in their social circle. As for me, I've been seeing someone new for about a month. She's a graphic designer who reads books instead of Instagram captions, and hasn't once asked me to retake a spontaneous photo. On our third date, she showed me a picture of her with her male best friend and said, "Just so you know, Jake and I have been friends since kindergarten. He's gay. But even if he wasn't, he's like a brother to me. I believe in transparency about close friendships." After Vanessa, that simple act of straightforward communication felt revolutionary. The biggest lesson I've learned from all this is to trust my instincts. Those uncomfortable feelings I had about Vanessa's relationship with Brandon weren't jealousy or insecurity. They were my subconscious recognizing patterns my conscious mind didn't want to see. Sometimes the most controlling people are the ones who accuse others of controlling them. And sometimes the best vacation is one you never planned to take. Final edit. For anyone facing a similar situation, no, I don't recommend flying to Cabo and befriending your partner's affair prospect as a standard breakup procedure. This was a specific response to a specific situation that happened to work out well. Usually, just walking away with your dignity intact is victory enough. But if you do find yourself in a Mexican standoff with a manipulative ex, well, the margaritas at the resort were excellent.